I'm just going to come out and say it, 10th edition sucks. And I really don't understand how this message is not popping up more. Yes, it is still fairly early on, as only been a couple of months, but you're really going to try and tell me that on launch, over 40% of all the factions in the game are below the proper win rate, or area of win rate that Games Workshop wants to aim towards. Two of which happen to be the armies I play and are at the bottom tier of the list. Now yes, there was a balance update this past Thursday that did try to do a whole lot. And Death Guard, from what I can tell, did get a reasonable, sizable buff. Which is great, but it never really addressed stuff of what I was even drawn to the faction in the first place. Their durability. I don't just want a faction that heavily relies around just a whole bunch of aura debuffs. I want a faction that is known for their durability of stuff like Feel No Pain or -1 damage. But Votan, oh my god, I still think we're getting the short end of the stick. Along with just all of these changes listed, the biggest one, of course, is that we're -1 ballistic skill across most of the army. While the changes for the Judgment Token system was absolutely warranted, because before it kind of got very crazy, I feel like now they have completely overcorrected the faction, and now we are heavily having to rely on this system. Which, unfortunately, that's what the overall buff in this latest data slate is leaning into. Now we have more targets for max judgment tokens, but that's still basically giving us a crutch because they broke our legs. It also doesn't help that still the army just lacks some synergy in some areas. Why does the Iron Master have to give +1 to hit when judgment tokens already do that? And let's be real, the points reduction is just Games Workshop's standard band-aid fix for most army changes when they need a buff, when really the problem lies in the actual unit data slates themselves. I've also seen discourse on the subreddit already that we're now a Horde army. No, we're not. We are nowhere close to the model numbers of Orcs or Imperial Guardsmen Footsloggers. It just means we'll have more models that will get wiped off the board because we're just that subpar. Either that or try to fit more Einhir in if you can even buy them. But hey, you know what? New edition, maybe new army, I guess. I've really been looking at the Tyranids for a while, especially now, so maybe now it's time to collect them. Oh wait, no, never mind, everything's sold out. Oh wait, that's right, also they got a massive nerf for no apparent reason, especially with their release of the codex just right around the corner, which all of this affects them, so the points value in that book are irrelevant at this point. Not to mention massive nerfs just to units that make no sense, like the Swarmlord or the Tyrannofex. Why? Tyranids were relatively balanced, leaning closer towards the higher end tier, but they were still decent. They didn't need this. Why was this necessary? Why do this around their initial codex release? This is like the Votan all over again. Oh, did I also mention that because their codex is now coming out, their app, which was previously free to use, and was also kind of part of the whole making Warhammer more accessible motive they were going for this edition, has basically locked everything out, unless either, I'm guessing, you pay the subscription or buy the codex for the code to unlock it. And if you're also a free user, you need a subscription, or otherwise you can only have one army at a time to list. Are you understanding why I don't like 10th edition currently? Nothing about 10e feels right to me. My current armies that I play are just in horrible spots right now, and the buffs they are getting are not what I'm looking for. The army that I do want to start collecting has just been nerfed out of nowhere and has somewhat made the book a little irrelevant. And not to mention that I think the whole continuing of the codex system is dumb in the first place. But on top of all that, this whole concept they had of making Warhammer accessible is now just kind of going down and down into the gutter with how they've implemented the changes to their app, which was honestly a really smart idea if they just kept it free and like it was before. It's just the same typical GW bullshit that all of us have been dealing with for many years now. Only now newer players that wanted to jump into the game are having to deal with it too. And I think that sucks. I think it's frustrating. I don't want to be waiting for my codexes for Votan in order for them to get into a decent spot right now. And that's not even me considering bringing up other broken rules on stuff like Tower Rain or, Eldar and Gene Stealer at launch. It just ultimately feels like they did not test this game enough and they just pushed it out on us for us to playtest it more. Just like how most modern video game companies pushed out games way too early and they're a jank mess. And at this point, I think I'm done. For now. I don't think I'm ever going to truly quit 40k, but at the moment, 10th edition is just not up to the standards I am hoping for, and it's just kind of infuriating. I think it's just I take a very long break from it. Stuff like Age of Sigmar or my Necromunda campaign, I'm kind of debating on, but those aren't super bad in comparison. But yeah, no, 40K sucks. I hate it. And in the meantime, this will just give me more opportunity to start looking at other war games to look and try out and maybe give credit a bit. I don't know. I do have a bit of a backlog I need to still post. Anyways, yeah, 10th edition sucks. Votan, I'm not happy with. Give them proper help.